So hello everyone, today we are going to start with solid edge assembly and we are going to cover all the basic commands required to complete the assembly. So for that I am referring press tool assembly here. We are having the PDF of press tool assembly. So to start with we are going to make this bottom plate. There are total 4 parts in this assembly which are top plate, guide bush, guide pillar and bottom plate. The parts which are having copy are not to be made at 4 times or 5 times. We just need to make one part in quantity and that we are going to copy everywhere. So to start with bottom plate, we are going to go for software, select the new and say isometric part. So I'm starting with bottom plate here. Select the extrude command and go for coincide plane. We'll make the sketch here for the bottom plate. So it is a rectangular plate having the dimensions. Horizontally it is 250 mm and vertically the sides dimension is 150 mm. Next we are going to say close sketch and we are going to extrude this part here. So the extrusion size was given 30 mm. So I'm going to say this value as 30. Say finish and cancel. Next, after making this plate, we are going to go for the holes here. So the size of this hole is given diameter 25 and are placed at 4 places. Starting with the left side, we can see 30 horizontally and 30 vertically. The dimensions are given for placing this hole. So we can go for hole command also or we can directly go for extrude cut. I am selecting extrude cut here. Hole command is better to use when we need to make holes for fasteners. It is just a feature, that's why I am taking extrude cut here. Put up the values, say 25 diameter, say auto scale dimensions. Next, put the XY references dimensions here, say 30 by 30. Say close sketch and extrude cut. So I'll say through all here, say finish and cancel. Now we need to make pattern for this feature. Now this is very important point that if you are going to pattern the guide pillars on these holes, then it is compulsory for us to make these holes pattern only. Because if we don't use pattern feature here, the related part will not be patterned in assembly also. That's why it is compulsory for us, instead of doing mirror or instead of making 4 holes together, it is suggested to make the first hole and then go for pattern command. So as to pattern the related part in assembly also. Say pattern, select the required feature to be patterned, say OK. Need to select the coincide face, go for the rectangular pattern. We'll select the center of the feature and going to make a rectangular path here. Type of rectangular pattern I'm going to select here is fixed one. We need to show the XY entities here. Number of entities in X direction, that is horizontal, and Y direction, that is vertical. Next we need to give the dimensions. In between dimensions between X and Y entities. So in X direction the dimension is going to be 190 and in Y direction the dimension is going to be 90. In between centers of the feature, we can see it. This vertically distance is given 90 and horizontally it is 190. So after putting up the values and entities, go for close sketch, say finish. Next we are going to go for this cutout here. So this cut was made of diameter 50. Go for sketch and we are going to make the circle as diameter 50. The distance from the bottom side for placing this hole is also given 50 mm only. So this distance, that is 50 mm from the bottom side. The alignment is with center origin as the hole is in the center of the plate. So I am going to apply the relation here as vertical. Now this complete placement of the circle is been made. We are going to cut the circle here, say finish. Say cancel. Go for this extrude, select the sketch, say OK. Next, say cut. Finish and cancel. I'll hide the sketch here. So now after completing this part, we are going to save this part. I'll make one folder here. And in folder I am going to save this part with the proper name. So the name for the part was given as bottom. Here it is very important to save the proper name given. So I am going to say bottom plate here. Say save. We also need to apply the appearances here. I am going to go in view tab, part painter, and this part has been completed with the appearance also now. Say save. Next we are going to go for the top plate. It is having similar dimension as of bottom plate except these diameters are being changed. And it is having one shaft instead of hole. So we can edit this part only Instead of making another part, I'm going to edit this part only and going to say save as with a different name. So here for the cutout, I'm going to edit the dimensions here. So instead of 25, we need to say 40 diameter. The locational dimension will be same. We'll also remove this sketch here. And at the bottom side, I'm going to add the circle. Diameter will be same 50. Location from the bottom side will also be same with the value as 50 Say finish, cancel, say extrude. Select the sketch required and we are going to extrude it here. Say one-sided extrude and end condition will be finite. So the dimension given for this extrusion is 90 we can see here. I am going to say 90. We'll hide the sketch and now this top plate is also been completed. We can see all the parameters were same, 250 by 150, center to center distance was 190 and 19 xy. The locational dimension for the holes were same, as well as we have added this shaft. So if you want to change the color also for the appearance, we can change the color. Say part painter, and instead of this color I am going to say tan. Select the body, say close, and instead of directly saying save, we are going to say file as save as. So as we can change the file with another name. So now this bottom plate and top plate are been made. We are going to go for this guide pillar and guide bush now. So the guide pillar having length is 200 and this guide bush is having 60. Diameter of this guide pillar is 25 as it is going to be assembled in these holes. The diameter of these holes were also 25 and then the guide bush diameter will be 40 as it is going to be assembled in this top plate having the diameter of 40. So these guide pillars will be inserted in these plates and are going to have this guide bush on the top and lastly bottom plate. So while assembling we need to call first part as bottom plate, then guide pillars, then guide bush and lastly top plate. Next part is guide pillar. So I'm going to say file, new, isometric part, and instead of extrude we are going to say revolve now this time. So it is better to make any shaft by revolve command instead of making it by extrude. That's why I'm making this shaft by revolve command here. I'll say 2-point rectangle. Diameter was 25. I'm going to say this radius as 12.5. As we are going to revolve this part, that's why I'm taking radius. The length was 200 Say close sketch. It will show error. As we have not selected axis of revolution, we are going to go for that command axis of revolution and select this line as axis of revolution. Say close sketch. And you can see this part has been revolved here. Say finish and cancel. Next we are going to go for the chamfers here. We can see this guide pillar is having chamfer at both the ends of 2 into 45 degrees. So again chamfer, select the face, say OK, select the edge required and say size as 2 into 45. Same, cancel and repeat the command chamfer. Select the face, say OK, select the required edge and say OK again. Say finish, cancel. We are going to apply lastly the appearance here, blue color, say close and finish. We need to save this part with proper name as guide pillar. Next we are going to edit this guide pillar only so as to convert it into guide bush. So for that I am going to edit the dimensions, saying dynamic edit. So instead of 200 I am going to say it's 60 as the height of this guide bush is 60 and diameter of the outer side is 40 and inner side will be 25. So we need to make this cut. After that we need to edit the diameter also. So instead of 12.5 I'll say 20 as the radius and diameter will be 40. Next we also need to make one hole here. So I'll draw one circle, say 25 diameter, close sketch, and now we are going to say extrude cut. Instead of add we are going to say cut here and say through all as an end condition. Say finish and cancel. So you can see here this cut is also been made. We are going to change the appearance again. So I'll say orange to this guide bushes here. Say close. We'll save this part now. So we'll say save as again. We just need to change the name here. Instead of guide pillar I am going to say guide bush. Now all the parts of the assemblies are been completed. We are going to gather this part and complete the assembly. So for starting the assembly, I am going to say file, say new, and we are going to say isometric assembly. Here the isometric assembly has been started. Now you can see this interface. This is the model tree area, and this is the command which we are going to use to call the parts and assemble them together. So to start with, I am going to say insert components. We need to browse the files. So I'm going to go on desktop and I'm going to browse the file by searching the folder in which we have kept this part here. So here we can see bottom plate. So I'm going to call the bottom plate first. As we can see here, at the bottom side is bottom plate, and then we are going to go for guide pillar. So this bottom plate, just click and drag it in the assembly zone. Now the first part has been dragged and called here. Now these are the assembly tools known as mates which we are going to use for making the assembly. So here you can see one mate is given, that is ground mate. Ground mate is used to make the part fixed. So whenever you call the first part in the assembly, you can see this symbol here in model tree. Ground mate symbol has been applied on this part. And if we keep the arrow on this bottom plate, you can see one note is been appearing showing that the part is grounded here. So we can consider it that the part is fixed here. Grounded means the part has been fixed. But it does not have any relation with planes and all. It doesn't have any relation with origin also. It is just fixed at the place of origin, not having any relation with planes or origin. So we can continue the assembly in this way also, that we are going to make this base part as a fixed part and then we are going to assemble the other assembly parts. Or else we can do one thing, matching the planes of the parts with the assembly planes and then going to assemble all the parts. That option will be better, but it is a little bit lengthy process. So some companies avoid that, but we can go for that option also. So for that we'll click on this part, and you can see after clicking this part, at the bottom left side, the mates are been highlighted related to the selected part. So whenever I'll click on the other parts also, the related mates for that parts will be highlighted in model tree area at lower left side. So here we can see that bottom plate is having one relationship, that is ground mate. So we are going to observe what effect does ground mate have on the part. So for that I'm going to select drag part and click on the part. But if we drag this part, it is not movable. It is because ground mate has been applied for that part. That's why it is not moving. So if I want to move this part in any direction, first we need to remove the ground mate or delete the relationship of ground mate. Select the part to delete the relationship and say delete. Now if I say drag component, then you can see this part is movable now. So I'll place it somewhere here. And now I'm going to put on the assembly planes here. So here you can see this assembly planes are been on. We also need to show the part planes if we need here. So for that I'm going to select this part, right click on the part, and you can see one option is appearing, show hide component. Select that option, say reference planes on, say apply and OK. So now the planes of this bottom plate are also been highlighted here. It is because we are going to mate this part with the origin by the use of planes only. We are going to apply mates on these planes only so as to match the center of the assembly with the first base part. So for that I am going to use these relations here. So we'll start with this first relation here as planar align. So this relation or mate is used to make the faces or planes coincide together. Usually planes, that's why the name is planar align. So I'm going to use this option as planar align and then go for the selection of planes so as to match them together. For applying mates on the planes, we need to select the part planes first. So I've selected the front plane of the plate and then go for the selection of assembly planes. So here you can see front to front is been matched. So next plane I am going to select the part right plane with reference to assembly right plane. So these two are also been matched. Next we are going to select part plane and assembly top plane. Now all the planes you can see here are been matched and this part is again aligned with the center of the assembly. You can see here all the part planes and assembly planes are coming at the center of this plate. It is also very important while making this part that we should make it by center references only so as to get the planes at the center of the part while assembling. Next we can see here after clicking this part, now it will show three relationships here, three mates. that is front to front, front of assembly and front of plate. Same goes with right and top. So all the planes of the part are matched with the assembly planes. We have done this in SolidWorks also. We are continuing it in Solid Edge, as well as it is preferable in other softwares also, that we should match the planes first and then go for the assembly. Now next we are going to call the other part. So the other part is going to be guide pillar here. You just need to drag the part. While making the part, you also need to remember what are the orientations for the part in assembly. Then only make that part according to the orientations of the part in assemblies. So this guide pillar was going to be assembled vertically here. That's why I've made this part in vertical condition only in part molding. Next, go for the mate. So here the mate we are going to use here is axial align. We can see the demo also there. It is used to match the axis of two cylindrical parts, maybe hole or shaft. I'm going to select that axis now. You just need to drag on the part while selecting the mate. The axis will be automatically highlighted. Just select the axis of the part pillar and then select the axis of the hole. Next we are going to go for the spaces. So for that I'm going to change the relationship and say the relationship as mate. This relationship is used for mating the faces here, flat faces. So I'm going to go for that relationship here and select the faces. So for that we are going to select mate relationship here, and the selections for the mate will be base of the guide pillar and base of the bottom plate. Now the orientation of this guide pillar is coming at the lower side, but according to assembly we need to make it oriented at the upper side. So for that in mate only we can flip the orientation of the part. You can see here this option. In this mate options, just say flip and the orientation will be flipped here. Say right click and escape. Next we are going to hide the planes here. Also hide the part planes. Right click on the part. Again go to show hide components and say planes off. Say apply and OK. Now the planes of this bottom plate are also been hidden. Next, if we want to edit this part in between, so we can make changes in the part in between also of the assembly. You just need to select the part. Suppose if I want to change the appearance, I'm going to select the part, say edit. But before that, it will ask you to save the assembly. Say yes. And we will save the assembly first, then go for edit. It is compulsory for editing that assembly should be saved first. So here we are going to say press tool assembly. Now all the related parts and assembly should be saved in same folder only. After saving, we can see this upper ribbon is being changed and we are having now part molding commands here. And these yellow colored options are nothing but the features of the part which we are going to edit. Only that related features are being highlighted in yellow color here. So here we need to change the appearance. So for that select the part painter, made only yellow color, say close. You can edit any feature you required here. This extrude or both the chamfers also you can edit here. Then next after completing the editing we are going to say close and return. Now you can see here this guide pillar, the appearance is being changed. Now one thing to be noticed here, that in front of this name for this icon guide pillar, two blue colored angles are being shown, representing that this part is not constrained properly. And also if I keep this arrow on this name, that is guide pillar, it will show that part is under constraint. One note is appearing showing that this part is not completely constrained. So we know that we have made concentric mate first, that is axis to axis. So the XY movements were constrained. We have also constrained the Z directional movement by saying coincide to the bottom face of this guide pillar and base face of the bottom plate. But still this part is showing under constraint. It is because the rotation of Z axis is not been locked. So we need to lock the rotation of this part here, as this part is circular. Just select the part and you can see the first made axial align was been applied. At that time we have not locked the rotation. So we can lock the rotation later on. We just need to select the part and the related mate will appear here. Select that mate and here you can say at the bottom side lock rotation. You can see here this lock sign is being shown. Just click on the shown sign and the rotation is locked now. You can see that icon is been removed here. That blue colored angle icon is been removed, showing that the part is completely constrained now. So after constraining this part, we are going to go for the patterns here. We can do individual mates also, but it will take more time or it will be time consuming. So to avoid that, I'm going to say pattern. But as I have said, if you are going to go for the pattern, it is compulsory for us that the holes that are made in the plate should be pattern only in part modeling. Then only you can utilize this assembly pattern. So we can see whether this part is been patterned or not. I'll see the features by saying edit, and you can see here this pattern was used to make the holes. So if this pattern is shown in the model tree, then only we can pattern it in assembly area also. So go for the pattern command now. As we have patterned the part, I'm going to select this pillar here. Say OK. Now it will ask you to select the part which contains the pattern. So select the bottom plate here. Now it will ask you select the feature. We can see in yellow color all the patterned holes are been highlighted. Select that holes, any one hole, click here. Then go for the base hole. The first hole was made and then we have patterned that. So we need to select that base hole and say finish. We'll undo it and see one more time. Again we'll go for the pattern. Select the part to be pattern. Say OK. Select the part which contains the pattern. Next select the pattern holes and then go for the base hole. Say finish, and this complete guide pillars are been patterned now. Again we are repeating that if the part doesn't contain pattern in part modeling, then the related part will not be patterned in assembly here. Next we are going to go for this part, that is guide bush. Just click and drag the part here. Again go for this option, that is axial align. Select both the axes here and say axial align. So while selecting this command, after first selection only I'll say lock rotation. So we don't need to provide the lock rotation again. Then select the axis of the related part. Say escape. Next we are going to go for the distance mate. So in coincide mate only we can apply the distance mate. So I'll select this mate option. Select the face. Go for the distance value first. I'll say 20 mm. And then select the second related face. I'll flip this part here. And you can see this distance is coming 20 from the above flat face to the flat face of this guide bush. Now we can see this part is also completely constrained. How can we judge that part is completely constrained? You can see here no blue angle marks are coming around the symbol of this guide bush part. And one note is also coming showing that the part is fully positioned here. You can see on the cursor side in model tree area. So after that I'm going to say pattern again. Select the part required to be patterned. Select the part which contains the pattern. Select the holes made by pattern and select the base hole. Say finish and cancel. So here you can see we have almost done with the assembly. Just need to select one more part and assemble it there. For that I'm going to select assembly again. Go for this part, that is top plate. Drag and drop it here. Now we will select the related mate here, that will be axial align only again. So this axis of this shaft and axis of this hole should be aligned. Next again go for axial align only. Select the axis of this hole and this guide bush. Next we are going to go for this mate, that is mate option. Select the top face of the top plate and top face of the guide bush. Say flip. Sometimes the orientation gets flipped by default only. So we just need to again click on this flip tab. So we can see here this part is completely assembled here. And now this complete assembly is fully defined, as it is not having any blue colored symbol here on any part. As well as we have deleted the relation that was grounded here. Instead of that we have used planes of the assembly and planes of the part so as to align the part in center. So this was press tool assembly, and these were some basic terms to be understand while making the assembly. We'll continue with further mates also. Till then, thank you.